morning, everyone. My name is Dave Abbott, and I'm the Director of Stewardship and Leadership Development at the United Methodist Foundation of New England, and I welcome you to this webinar. Cesie Scheuermann is going to be our presenter today. She and I have known each other for a long time, but I want to start with a prayer, and I want to start first with a scripture reading from 1 Thessalonians. It says, "Give thanks in every situation, because this is God's will for you in Jesus Christ." Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, as we gather here from across New England and across this country, we give you thanks and praise for this opportunity to listen, to learn. May we put the stuff that is ours off to the side and create all kinds of space for you to be present, not just through Cesie and the words that she shares, but also through each other and through our time. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So a little about Cesie. She's been doing this work for over 25 years, working with nonprofits and churches to increase generosity and celebrate generosity. One of the things she talks about is that she loves thanking donors. And when we're talking about thanking, it's not just the folks who are doing the big stuff. It's people who are doing everything as part of our faith community and beyond and around it. You read about when you registered about Cesie. So I want to tell you about a few of the articles that you can find on her Inspiring Generosity workshop, webpage that you might be wanting to receive. I get an email from her on a weekly basis. And what's cool is that if I have a comment or a thought, I share it and she writes back, and I get the impression she does that with everybody who she hears from, which is very cool. She's also a very real person. She is a layperson. She's not clergy. So that means that she has a good positive impact. But here are the articles I was going to tell you about. When burning it down isn't an option. Being purple intentionally means intentionally bringing together people with different convictions, worship, service, and to grow side by side. Another one is creating a community of love. When people give their money to your congregation, it is a sign of hope. A sign that they believe in the communal power of giving to a community that feeds the soul and nurtures people both within and beyond the doors and into the world. Why one story beats 1,000 stats. Presenting facts and figures to convince people of your worthiness does not inspire them to get up their checkbook or their credit card. Sharing a story about how your congregation or organization changed a person's life, now that moves people. And finally, live longer. Hope is in the church. In the midst of all the doom and gloom, your church just might have what the world is looking for. That is the hopeful message you can give to a country and a culture that is flailing about. Today, Cecie's going to be talking about giving thanks. And so I turn it over to you, Cesie, and thank you. And
thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I think I did a similar workshop like this about 4 years ago. So it's a real thrill to be back and to talk with you. There will be some things that, in 4 years, I've seen more thank you opportunities and learning more all the time. The other thing that I do is I am also a senior ministry strategist for Horizons Stewardship. And if you're not familiar with Horizons, I invite you to, type in Horizons Stewardship, horizons.net, and you'll find out all about the kind of services that we offer, which include working on capital campaigns and encouraging generosity in your churches. So happy to talk to you about that as well. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started here. There we go. So once again, I appreciate all that the United Methodist Foundation of New England does. David does a great job, and I'm hearing about future workshops that you're going to be doing, and I'm very envious. I just think what you're doing is fabulous. So rejoice, and I'm grateful for this particular organization and all the work that David does. So here we are. This is thanking as ministry. And we'll just get started. And at the end, I'll have and maybe David can put it in the chat as well, my contact information, so you can know how to get a hold of me. So I like to start by sharing where I'm at. I am in Salem, Oregon. I attend First United Methodist Church in Salem. We like to say it is the oldest church west of the Rockies. And, it's a medium-sized, well, for a mainline church anymore, it's a medium-sized church. We have about 200, 150 to 200 in worship every Sunday, and that's between two services. So, and I've been there for many years. But I also like to show this because I just think this is the miracle of technology that we are able to communicate and be in presence with each other through this. I also want to make note that I live directly, I'm like looking across the street. I'm fortunate enough to live across the street from a beautiful park called Bush Pasture Park. And it was, I just went to a workshop about how the Kalapuyan Indian tribe, they were the original people on this land. And so I want to acknowledge them. And every time I look, there are trees that were planted by the Kalapuyans that are somewhere around 300 years old. So it's an amazing park. And I just want to acknowledge the Kalapuyan tribe and thank them. And so, we're going to take a couple of polls just so I get a sense of who you all are. So I'm going to turn that part. David learned how to do polls for me. So he's going to put the polls up. And so, David, go for it.
All right. So the first poll is to find out who folks are. You
Yeah.
should have it.
Who are
There
you?
you go.
So you can see it on the screen. It says, I'm the pastor. I'm a layperson. I don't know where I fit, or I'm an angel on assignment from God. That is what we all should be. That should be 100%. Okay. So I think that's good. So that shows us that 15% are pastors, 77% are lay people, which is awesome because you guys can influence your pastor, I am hoping. And fortunately, you all know where you fit. And, one of you thinks you're an angel on assignment from God. And hallelujah for that. Okay, so giving thanks. This is directly related to us. When I think of thanking people, and you can make a decision, I break out in a sweat. I declare no sweat. I am feeling confident. No, I can always learn new things, or people should just give because they want to and should not expect a thank you.
I think we have people of the same mind.
Yay. Okay. I'm going to end the poll so that I hope y'all can see these results. So we're all feeling confident, which is awesome. But you know that you can always learn new things. That is terrific. And so we have one last question. So there we go. Finding hope. Okay, today I hope to find out how to write a great thank you letter, get some tips to broaden the way I thank people, be told that I can ignore thanking people, or pray that Jesus will thank people for me.
Can I say I'm grateful that there's no one filling the bottom, answering the bottom with the bottom? Thank
And I would
goodness.
just say, that means Jesus is using you. So,
Amen.
okay. So I think you can see these results. So, I'm hoping that we can do both of those top two things, find out how to write a great thank you letter and get some tips to broaden the way I thank people. So awesome. That helps a lot. Thank you so much. Okay, so we took the poll. So I like to think about two ways of change, and one is technical change and culture change. The focus often is on technical change because in many ways that seems to be the easiest thing to do. However, if the culture change hasn't happened, the technical change will be very short-lived and not, I don't think, as effective. So I always like to start with that question, why? Why do a couple of reasons. Why do you want to thank people in the first place? And the second and more important question is, why is your church existing? These are, that is a really great question, is why do you exist? So it may not feel like it has much to do with thanking people, but it really has everything to do with thanking people. Because if you have a sense of who your congregation is and why it exists, it makes thanking so much easier. And then you can also be thinking, why do I even need to thank you? Because I have people that I know, friends, who will say, well, thanking, I mean, why should I thank? If somebody sends me a present, that's it. I shouldn't need to thank them. And that is, a feeling that my mother would never let me ascribe to. So I still have my mother's little voice in my head. So if you want to know more about your why, and I'd highly recommend this, and we can get the links to you, or you can just Google it. One is Michael Jr., Know Your Why, and that is a 4-minute video of quick that just completely is mind blowing. And so I highly recommend that one. Or Sinek years ago did an amazing talk, a TED talk on how great leaders inspire action. And it really goes to the notion of why. And these are, I mean, the Michael Jr. one actually is more from a faith perspective, not solely, but it really applies. The Simon Sinek TED talk is not faith-based at all, but it's very easy to make the connection between the two. So I mean, and I know you're going to say, oh, yeah, this is a rhetorical question, and it really is. Can thanking be a spiritual experience? One might hope so. These are the next two slides are going to have the most text on them. So don't worry. I am not a text heavy person. But this one, if you don't know Henry Nouwen and know his work, I highly recommend it to you. He was a priest, passed away, but he is a prolific author. And, one of my favorite fundraising books is called The Spirituality of Fundraising. But here's what Henry had to say, not that I'm good friends with him, but Henry Nouwen had to say about gratitude. In the past, I always thought of gratitude as a spontaneous response to the awareness of gifts received. But now I realize that gratitude can also be lived as a discipline. The discipline of gratitude is the explicit effort to acknowledge that all I am and have is given to me as a gift of love, a gift to be celebrated with joy. And so I love that whole notion of gratitude, and how it is a spiritual discipline to be a person of gratitude. This is a little bit longer. And so let me just, this is Nadia Bowles-Weber, and I'm sure many of you have read her stuff. She's a Lutheran pastor, ELCA. And this was something that I just saw on last Sunday. So what does it mean to be rich towards God? Because scripture says the earth and everything in it belong to God. So God isn't in like financial trouble and needs a bailout or payday loan. Maybe being rich towards God starts with noticing how rich God has been toward us. How scarcity is not in God's lexicon. Scarcity is just something we create for others and fear for ourselves. God didn't create the cosmos by being stingy or holding back. I mean, 11,000 species of birds, over 13 billion light years of stars, more kinds of flowers, landscapes, and humans than we know what to do with. God's abundance is written into the DNA of our universe. And I just love that because it gets into that whole gratitude notion, which is critical if we are going to be a thankful people. And I like to call this about creating a culture of gratitude. And so the culture change is really thinking with your church, thinking with your people about a change of gratitude, not just for money, but for everything. So that's the beauty of this. It's not, this isn't just stewardship focused. It's how can you be grateful for everybody in your church for all kinds of things. I've shown this before, but I like to use this. It's old data, but to me, it's still very illustrative. For a number of years, I was working with a local community theater. And when I arrived, they had no culture of gratitude. there was virtually no thanking going on. People would send in donations, they'd never get an acknowledgement. And so the new executive director and I, decided that we were going to change that. I mean, and that we were going to develop a culture of gratitude. So I just want you to see how donations increased as a result when we started that culture of gratitude, just by thanking people. We started an annual donor thank you event, and we would write occasional letters that didn't have an ask, but it was just like, we love our donors. And so you can see unrestricted donations increased by 131% between 2013 and 2018. And the number of donations increased 78%. So to me, that is just illustrative of the power of saying thank you. So this may be the most controversial thing I talk about today. How do you know who to thank? And I know that a majority of you on here are lay people, which is awesome because you need to hear this as much as anybody else. But the pastor, how, in particular, how does the pastor know who to thank? There are some obvious things that people might do, but and I'm talking more about in stewardship terms. I worked with the Lake Institute. I did a workshop with them, and this is something that they talked about. A knowledge of individual giving records. I know this is like a sticky wicket for a lot of churches and even for clergy, but I'm just going to speak out on it. So 55% of US congregations say their head clergy person has access to individual giving. So that means 45% do not have access to individual giving records. 58% of those clergy who have access report actually looking at the giving records. So of those 55%, I'm going to say only 58% of those clergy who have access report actually looking at the giving records. And in congregations where the clergy had access and used that access, 58% had a trend of increased giving over the past 3 years, relative to 48% of all congregations reporting increased giving. So it is a belief of mine that clergy should have access. And I know you're thrilled because I'm going to read the book of discipline to you today, which should just brighten up your day and you will be thanking me. So here we go from the book of discipline. To ensure membership care, including compliance with charitable giving documentation requirements, and to provide appropriate pastoral care, the pastor, in cooperation with the financial secretary, shall have access to and responsibility for professional stewardship of congregational giving records. So to me, that came out in I believe it was 2016 when it was adopted. So it's new because it was clear that many financial secretaries I've talked to people who their folks just say, no, you're not going to get the access to the financial records. And let me just say, I have worked with nonprofits for many years, and I would never dream that an executive director of a nonprofit would not have access to the giving records of people who donate to the organization, because they would never be able to thank the people. If you have a pastor who gets this information, gets the giving records, and then starts treating other people badly because they're not giving as much, well, that's a SPRC issue. It is not up for you to determine that the pastor shouldn't get that information. Okay, so that's my whole thing. And part of it is about that cultural change too. To get culture change, you really need to have the books open. You need to be thinking about this as a spiritual discipline and developing a culture of gratitude. So my guess is this is what most of you came here for, was the technical change, to think about how can you make your culture one of gratitude. I'm going to have lots of examples. I will have lots of ideas, and it can be a little overwhelming because it's like bombing you with all this stuff. So I would suggest that you take away, maybe write 3 or 4 key ideas down that you think is possible for you to do. So here's the technical change on saying thank you. So here, the world's worst thank you letter. And be prepared because some of you might be able to guess it. It's the one that's never written. So that's the worst one. I don't know about you, but I have on occasion given to, and I will not throw the church under the bus necessarily, but I've given to nonprofits, and it's like I've heard nothing, or I get the standard. If I give online, I get the standard thank you for your gift, and immediately, so I know it's not personal, and I just get nothing. So I mean, it is a little sticks in my craw when that happens. And the church in particular really has often not done a very good job of thanking people. I'm going to give you an example of one of the worst thank you letters that came from a church. I gave a donation to an organization, and I don't expect you to read it because I could barely read it. My guess is this is an 8-point font. And I want you to see what's up in here, growing in gratitude. So I want you to just take note what their little tagline is. So, dear Cesie Scheuermann. So first off, they just don't even say Cesie. Dear Cesie Scheuermann, thank you for your donations this year. I made one donation. Oh, thank you for your donations this year between January 1, 2024 and June 30th, 2024. We continue to have the ongoing expenses of staff, building, and utilities. We encourage you to give what you can. If possible, please consider an increase in your giving, possibly a percentage, to cover inflation and projected deficits. Now, how inspired do you think I am? It's like, wow, thank you, and give us another gift. To donate, use our secure website. And here's more. I mean, just give more money and click on the orange donate button. You may also use your bank or credit union's bill pay option or send a check. If you have not yet made a pledge, I mean, this was a one-time donation. If you have not made a pledge for 2024, please do so at the same location. Persons donating may use the same option. I mean, it just goes on. It's just like, what is going on? If you have any questions about pledging, I'm not pledging. I gave a one-time donation. If you have questions about your record, please contact your support. Now, here's the second time they've said thank you. Your support of Salt and Light Lutheran Church is needed and very much appreciated. Your recorded annual pledge for the 2024 was 0. So, wow, that's really inspiring to think I gave $0 toward the pledge. If no pledge is listed, you made one for 2024. Please contact the undersigned with the correct information. And then here is the detailed list of your donations. And here is a list of them summarized by donation category. Oh my gosh. Sincerely. I mean, it was like, okay, this is not what you want to do. Okay. Let me just make sure that you understand that. That's like the worst. And partly I was really upset because they sent me a similar one 2 years ago. And I told somebody, I was like, this really doesn't inspire much gratitude or me wanting to give another gift. And it came back with the same thing. But hey, they're growing in gratitude. That's the important thing. So I am going to do a quick teaching about how to write the art of writing a great thank you letter, at least in my humble opinion. And there are a lot of things that you can do to write a great thank you letter. So if you can incorporate 4 things from this list of about 12 or 13 things, that'll be great. So you'll be getting a copy of all these slides too, but if it helps for you to write this down too, that's helpful. A personal salutation, not dear friend, and preferably with the name the person generally uses. So, and that's a tricky one, especially for someone like me, because my formal name, if I write a check, is Cecilia on the checks, but I go by Cesie. So you hope somebody's taken the time to figure out, especially at church, that what's the name that you prefer. It's personally signed in a color ink other than black. And I'm hoping you can understand Why? Because if you write it in a color other than black, people know that it's a real signature. It's not auto pen, or it's not, because I know many of your churches have auto pens, but or it's just not, I was going to say Xerox. How old am I? Copied onto there. The one thing I would say, it's really nice if it's a legible signature. Now, this is where I would come. This is a signature of somebody, and it looks like she must be a doctor, but because it's just like there's no way you could see that says Lisa. But there you go. Personally signed in a color ink other than black. It has an additional handwritten thank you added at the end. This one was like thanking people for making buying tickets. So that says welcome back. But if you could just write thank you, your gift is a blessing, something like that. And the reason you do that is like that's the one of the first things people's eyes will gravitate to that. Make specific reference to the intended use of funds. If somebody gives to the general fund, then just say just name off 3 or 4 things that their donation will help, their tithe will help fund. Includes the name and phone number of a staff person. So that's really important. So that if, there could be questions for some reason, the donation might have been recorded incorrectly. So you want to make sure that there's a name and phone number of a staff person. Does not ask for another gift. And in the nonprofit world, this is always up for debate because there are hard asks like you heard in this letter, which just like drive me crazy. Or there's the soft ask. So they send you a lovely thank you letter, but there's an envelope included in there just in case. Now, people will say those work. I just think it's bad manners, but that's just what I was taught. It's like you don't thank somebody for the birthday gift and say, "Hey, for Christmas, could you send me?" So, that's just to take note. Do not ask for another gift. Here we are, continued. Contains no spelling or grammatical errors. I know this isn't always possible, but I think you give it your best shot unless, and I'm going to say unless this is, you have a note that's written by a child or, I think there are exceptions to this, but in general, try not to have spelling or grammatical errors. Has an overall can-do spirit. That is the problem with the letter that I read to you. It does not have a can-do spirit. It is one of down in the dumps. We need more money. Please send more money. The boat may be sinking. The ship is sinking. And the problem is who wants to give to a sinking ship? So you have an overall can-do spirit. Bigger font. Like 8-point font. I am sorry, but my eyes do not compute with that. So if you can, 12-point font is going to be the smallest that you'll want to use. 13 or 14 is even better because most likely you're going to have people with eyes like mine that need some help. Yeah, bigger font. Indented paragraphs. It's so funny. I love indented paragraphs for letters like this because it makes it look less like a business letter, and looks weirdly. It just makes it look more personal. A PS, at the end of the letter to thank the donor again or to let them know about something that's happening. I especially like to do this with year-end letters, appeal letters from churches or from nonprofits well, especially for churches. So there may be 2 PSs. PS, you can give securely on our website and you have that listed, or here's the QR code. And then PPS, we are having some awesome Christmas Eve services. Please come to that or something like, so just use it because once again, aside from the personal note that somebody reads, the first thing they'll look at is the PS. Make it concise. There is no need to make this long, drawn out. Shorter is better. Hand addressed envelope with a fancy first class stamp. Unless you have a huge church and can't do this, I would have a group of people get together and handwrite the envelope and then put a really nice stamp on it. It looks different when it comes through there's the machine. I always forget what that machine is called, but that the post office gives you. And so if you can, I would always put a fancy first, something unique. and have it be received by the donor promptly. If you, not to freak you out, but I'll just tell you what the nonprofit wish is for thank you letters is to get them out within 48 hours. Now that takes discipline. It takes a real process in place. The problem is if you don't, and people start going, "Gosh, didn't I send a gift? Did I give them something a couple of weeks ago?" And I haven't heard from them. And then a month goes by, and all the good feelings that you would get from getting a thank you letter have kind of gone by the wayside because it's the time has passed so much. Better a late thank you than no thank you at all. So keep that in mind. And it grabs the reader's attention immediately with a great opening line. That means we're gonna go straight into that. So, what do you mean by a great opening line? So instead of on behalf of blankety blank church, thank you for your gift, how about trying, and this could be the second line, okay? So wow, your gift was a blessing. And then the second line is on behalf of, First Church, thank you for your gift. So the first line is that, or what would we do without you? You are making the world a better place. Thank you for being a partner in the work of God. You are being the hands and feet of Christ. All those opening lines, they give me all the feels, right? I mean, I was like, oh, I better read on. So that's why I would suggest doing that. Okay, this is a letter I put out I work with the nonprofit. Maybe you have, I know it's a national nonprofit, Family Promise. I work with the Mid-Willamette Valley Family Promise. So here's a thank you note that I generated for Family Promise. Dear, and they would fill in the first name. Dear Cesie, what a difference you're making. On behalf of the Family Promise families who've experienced homelessness, thank you. Thank you for your recent donation. Thank you for making sure families have a safe place to stay. Thank you for your compassionate heart. So it's kind of, it's giving me a sense, and it reminds me that my donation is helping people have a safe place to stay. Because of you, 98% of our families, once they have left Family Promise, have maintained their housing for 1 year. What an incredible achievement. It's true, our families couldn't do it without you. Gratefully, TJ. And then P.S. Let me know if you'd like to leave a legacy gift to Family Promise of the Mid-Willamette Valley through your Willard Trust. I'd love to let you know how easy it is. We change that P.S. up. Sometimes, like if you'd like to get a tour, give me a call. So that gives you an idea of just how much shorter that is. Big font that you can actually read it. Compared it to this one that I got. I'm hoping people will feel really good about that. Here's another one from a church. I love this one. This is in response for people who gave for the stewardship campaign. And they had kids write different, and this would have been in color. So they had kids write different thank you, just says thank you with hearts. And that gives people the feel. So this is the thank you drawn by a child in our Sunday school. And to express our heartfelt gratitude, your commitment to the ministry of our church is deeply appreciated. So, and then it talks of because of you, this is like reporting back on what your donation is doing, what your gift to the church is doing. Because of you, children are nurtured in Sunday school. Youth find a place for belonging. People are fed at Bethlehem House of Bread. Beautiful music is lifted to God's glory. And in many, many other ways, God's grace is shared in and through our church. So to me, that is just awesome. And then Jeremy and Samantha would have personally signed each one of those. This is one that came through. We're donors, sustaining donors to our local food share, Marion Polk Food Share. So I love this because this came sort of as a surprise. Thank you. We can't keep it inside anymore. We have to be open about how much we appreciate you. So this is how you could make an email really feel personal and just make people feel good. Because of your ongoing support as a member of the Sustainer Circle, here's the reporting. Families have nutritious food in their pantries. Children can go to school with full stomachs, ready to learn. Seniors get the healthy food they need to thrive. And more of our neighbors can focus on building a brighter future instead of worrying about where they'll get their next meal. In short, thank you. So you can write a really great follow-up email. I that is okay too, because I love that one. I'm going to just give you a quick, this is a personal, we gave a shower for somebody, so handwritten notes are great. Um, and this is from a baby shower. And I just love what Jillian wrote because it was a surprise to me because mostly I get these thank you notes that say, thank you for the gift. So anyway, she went above and beyond. Cesie and Tom, thank you so much for the beautiful blanket and rattler. I'm so excited to see baby Bennett all wrapped up in such a fun quilt. It always makes gifts better when they come from fair trade as well. We bought it at One Fair World. Thank you for coming to the baby shower and celebrating with us. It's so great to have so much love and support surrounding us as we embark on this journey. We love you guys, Jillian and baby Bennett. So I just wanted to show that a handwritten note can be super effective if it's written well. So here's your giving statement or your quarterly statement. I don't know what you call that. This is an awesome, awesome opportunity to say thank you. So I'm going to show you a couple of ones that are terrible. This one, you can see this is from 2009. We do not do this anymore, but this is one that I just got in the mail. There was nothing else with it. This was it. This was how much we gave. You can see that they didn't get around to saying thank you until the second sentence of that bottom paragraph. Thank you so much for your support of our ministries. So there we go. I mean, wow. And so this does nothing to inspire me. I would guess it would do nothing to inspire you. It looks like a bank statement. It's the last thing we want from our churches is to be giving a bank statement. The other thing is if you are going to do something like that, please make sure it's correct. This says from January 1st, 2009 to March 31st, 2008. Excuse me. And then the other thing is that there's no information on this on how to contact somebody if there was a question. So it says, please call so-and-so, but there's no phone number. So that I'm not a mind reader and I don't really want to go to the church director to figure it out. Here's another. This was from a local nonprofit. We gave a substantial gift toward a capital campaign, and this is what we got in the mail. So let me just say, not very inspiring, tells me nothing. It's a bank statement and it's a receipt, and that is it. Here's one of my all-time favorite things that you could put. This is on a third of a sheet of paper, so you can just put it in there. And then you can give a prompt to somebody from your church. We gave a prompt to Melissa to say, why do you give to First United Methodist Church? So I began faithfully tithing as a spiritual discipline. I love bringing this back to it's a spiritual endeavor when I made the decision to become a member of Salem First Church. I'm not saying that tithing has always been easy. There have been times when I have paused and thought of all the other ways I could use that money. I will say that as I've learned to tithe with a joyful heart, God has always ensured we have enough. I also know my heart, my eyes are more open. So, I mean, what this is all about joyfulness and why giving is a joyful endeavor. And that would preach right there. Here's another one. It took a full page. We had Austin 6.5. I went over and had him tell me what he wanted to say, and then I had him write it. So this is a good example of when it's precious when somebody, a kid writes like this and has spelling errors. Unlike it's not very precious when somebody who has some education does it. So, you can just see this, just the visual of it is so cute that you can't help but want to say thanks and appreciate that quarterly statement. I'm going to say holidays are another opportunity to say thank you. Marion Polk Food Share does a great job of this. I did not know July 16th was Celebrate National Cherry Day. And it doesn't even say thank you, but I know it's coming to me because I'm a donor. And so it was just one of these surprise things that I thought was really fun and a nice way to say thank you. So, what would National Charity Day be without a joke? The pits, so it just is, We hope you'll celebrate this delicious fruit. I just thought this was we've cherry picked the best joke for you. I mean, so it had me, I mean, and I liked it. I think of it as it was written to me. I like to think that it had me in mind when they came out. So it's just one of these surprise things, and a surprise is always a fabulous way to go. Valentine's Day, that is always a great day to love on your people. April Fool's Day, it's fun to send out a card or an email that says "No fooling, you're the best." St. Patrick's Day, how lucky we are to have you. This is for Thanksgiving, which is right around the corner. I've been working with Family Promise, and we're going to be sending out cards to our top donors and to people who have left a legacy. And then finally, oh, National Donut Day. We couldn't donut without you, something goofy like that. The more puns, the better. Other ways to say thank you. If you have some ideas, please put them in the chat. Please use your memorial gifts as a way to say thank you. This usually goes by the wayside. So it's really important if you get a memorial gift to thank the donor and to make sure that the person who it is memorializing, that the family gets a list, not with the amounts given, but a list of the donors so that they can personally thank them. So it's a way to get the name of your church out. It's a way to let people know that they were noticed and their gift was appreciated. Pick up the phone. This is another way. I think we're all, I'm going to say I'll do two ways. Pick up the phone or text somebody. And all it needs to be is something, you could have pick up the phone and just say, I just want to thank you for your generosity and giving. It doesn't go unnoticed. And if they pick up the phone, all the better. If they don't, which most people don't, leave the message. In fact, last night it was really interesting. My husband thought he was getting a call on my phone, so he picked it up, and it turned out it was from an organization called Liberty House that just called to say thank you to us for our sustaining gift, wanting to know if we had any questions and would we like to have a tour. So pick up the phone. It really, that one-on-one makes a difference. Get your leaders involved in thanking. We still have an ad council, or get your leadership council together to start writing, do a thank you night. And one night we did this where we gave each person 10 names of folks who had pledged, and that they didn't know how much they pledged, but only they knew that they had pledged. And the note was to say, thank you so much for your generosity to our church. Tonight, we said a prayer for you in thankfulness and in gratitude. Thank you once again. I don't know, you can come up with a script, but we actually did pray for these people because we were thankful for them. So get your leaders involved. And then the leaders, they took the letters home. We had a list for them. They wrote out the addresses, excuse me, and sent them out. And we had people that were kind of shocked. They couldn't believe that we had done that. So, and shocked in a good way. This is from a mission group that we donated money to from Colorado. And they had the kids write a note while they were on the mission trip. Thank you for your, dear Mr. and Mrs. Scheuermann. Nobody calls me Mrs. Scheuermann. They're like, wow, that was a thrill. Thank you for your donation to the Colorado kids. This year we were able to peak a 14,000-foot mountain called Mount Huron. We were also able to swim in a freezing clear lake. I appreciate you for allowing this to happen. Thanks again, Lance and Colorado kids. So that's just a nice way for people to know that their gift made a difference to them for the mission trip. Here's one for leaders. This recently, I was invited to a thank you brunch for all of us who were leaders in the church. There were about 4 or 5 people that pulled together. It did not look like it took a ton of time, but somebody, put tablecloths on, put flowers on the table. We had some breakfast casseroles. And I just thought this was a really lovely way to say thank you to leadership who rarely get thank you, or especially, and this is another side to say thank you to people who are leaving committees. I'm appalled when I find out that we have, like the chair of the ad council who has put in hours and hours of time, and it's like they fade away. There's no real thank you. So make sure you're thanking your leaders whenever you can. The other about a month ago, this arrived at our doorstep. Around the corner, we have a methadone clinic that has been a real problem over the year, for the last few years, except this year it's been great. And one of the things they've done is they've reached out to the neighbors. And so we got this sweet succulent that with this note rooted in kindness. And then there was a note saying, thank you for being a great neighbor. Please let us know if you have any questions. I mean, I was just like, wow. And that's something that can be easily done for your leaders, or maybe for the people who are giving more than you expected. Feeling creative, then let's say you can easily do a thank you video. And I'm going to show you a couple that have been done. This is a group that was on a mission trip, and one of the leaders of the mission trip, we had gone to a youth auction, and many of us had made donations. And so anybody who had made a donation at that youth auction or toward the mission program got one of these.
Thank you, Cesie and Tom, for your generous donation to the Open Door Youth Ministry. It's made it possible for us to be here in Costa Rica, being church.
So, I mean, there's so many good things about that. It's super short. It was in the context of, I got it in an email, and this young guy, youth person, said my name, said our name, said Cesie and Tom, thank you. I mean, what? I'm in the movies. I mean, it's like, how awesome is that? So it's short and sweet and really quite doable. And here's one more that I did during COVID. And we got a new bathroom, and I will admit I'm a little over enthusiastic about it, but I want you to notice that it's another way to thank people and to remind people. This is a way to thank people for legacy gifts that were made, because this bathroom wouldn't have been possible without legacy gifts. So.
Hi friends, I'm Cesie, and I go to First United Methodist Church and usually worship in the Micah at the Micah worship service. Now you might be wondering what has been happening in the church during the coronavirus. Well, I am happy to tell you that one of the very exciting projects has been making a new bathroom. Now, you may not know that having a new bathroom is all that exciting, although I think that's pretty cool. But this is not just any bathroom. This is an accessible bathroom, and it's a gender-neutral bathroom. And on the second floor of Micah, and I'm so excited because I'm going to do the reveal for you. So here we go. Come follow me. We're going to go see the bathroom. So come on in. Here we go. This is like a luxurious bathroom. Come on in. Take a look around. Look at this gorgeous new sink. These lights are awesome. We just have everything that you would want and need in a bathroom, including a trash can, including low flow toilet, and someplace for the little babies to be. So this is just an amazing tile job, and I can hardly wait. Yeah, I can hardly wait for you to be able to come in and see it for yourself. We know that this COVID is going to be over at some point, and your church is working hard on your behalf. And we want to thank the people that made this possible, not only our staff, the trustees, but most importantly, those people who left legacy gifts that made this renovation possible. So thank you so much to everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Well, as you can see, that is not a very professional video. It was made on an iPhone, very simple. The other thing that reminds me is not only to thank people for legacy gifts, but when you have new projects, something that legacy gifts helped fund, whether that's painting a certain room or whatever, celebrate that. I think people forget that that's something that you can be grateful for. Any new project that has been done recently, this is an old church that we're part of. Another bathroom had been renovated by a couple of church members. I mean, it was amazing. And so I wrote an article for the newsletter so that it elevated them and let them know, and just let people know how important those legacy gifts are. We'll send this out to you along with the video recording. I mean, here's an example of how you can go about making your generosity something that you think about all the time. So this is something that I usually do at the beginning of every January, and it's have a generosity stewardship calendar. And this is the one that I did for 2025. And we can send it out, and I'll send it out in PDF, and then later next year you can get it as a Word document so you can make it your own. But this just tells you something about every month what you could be doing. And so anyway, that should give you some ideas so that you're not trying to create a calendar on your own. One has already been created for you, and then there are links to my blog posts so that you can might answer some questions. The one thing that I want you to take a look at is weekly, what at the very bottom of this, every Monday, write 3 gratitude notes. And you know what? This is not only for the people, but it's for you too, because the more research that's done, having an attitude of gratitude is really good for your mental health. So write 3 letters of gratitude. It doesn't have to be for money, but it could, for donations, but it could be for, something that you observe them doing. I mean, it's easy. Then highlight your congregation's generosity during worship. We often use that offering time, and we don't use it well enough. It's a great opportunity to not only tell the story of what your church is doing and express gratitude for what the church is doing, but so use your offering time wisely during worship. And then the other 3 are a little bit just for me, because it's like, do one thing that scares you. Just because I think, and that may be around stewardship, that may be around gratitude. Talk and listen to someone with a different perspective than yours, which, man, that is a tough one. And then always know that someone out there, particularly I, am cheering you on. So there you go. The last thing I wanted to, and then we have a few minutes for questions, is I want to tell you a story of why saying thank you is important. And I'm writing my blog on this. A week ago today, I got this text from somebody I didn't recognize announcing that an old family friend, Barbara, had passed away. And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because I had known that she was ill. I had been terrible about keeping in touch with her, and that she had died several months before. But this woman had said, there are some things I think you might be interested in. I'm wondering if I can mail them to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought that they would come, so anyway, so Monday, I got a box, and I did not recognize the address nor the person who it was from. And I opened up the box, and this is what was in there. And I was like, wow, okay. And I dumped it out. And these were all, I mean, I just get choked up thinking about it. These were all the cards that my kids or I had written to Barb over the years as a thank you for, wonderful gifts that she had given, or spending time with us, or taking her to her pool. And so to me, this was just overwhelming to me that she had kept every one of those letters. And it was like walking back in time, but it meant something to her, and she kept them. So I think if you just take one thing away from this, that thanking is ministry. It's not thanking as ministry, thanking is ministry, because you never know who needs to get that message of gratitude, who needs to hear the good word from you. And so that's my last story. It's in memory of Barb, and in gratefulness for her life, and that she saved all those wonderful letters. Okay, we have a few minutes for questions. Well, actually, a very few minutes, but I'm sorry. I'm happy to stick around a little bit longer.
We currently don't. I want to first of all say thank you to you, and for bringing it and bringing things that we can touch. Your presentation wasn't just something that was off in the sky and we have to figure it out ourselves. It's very clear. And I can share with you that there was one congregation that I shared this information about what you proposed for writing a letter, and they put it into their thank you on a quarterly or half year statement. And I talked with one person who said that they absolutely loved hearing that it made a difference. These were all the things that they were doing, and this is what they would be doing if there was more stuff. So it really does. If there was, as additional funds came in, this is the vision that they had for the future. So I want to thank you, because this stuff really does work.
Oh, it does. I'm looking at the question and I am
Yeah,
laughing heartily. Oh, where's Deb? I have to say, yes, Deb, you can overuse. And I try not to because it's like, I'm so enthusiastic. I'm so enthusiastic. But I think it's I wouldn't underuse them, but it's like they lose their effectiveness if you overdo it, obviously. So if I'm doing I usually like to save it for maybe 2 or 3 times. And I would not do 3 or 4, I would do one. And I usually use it particularly for that first sentence that I write in a thank you letter. I just think, that's like, I want to exclaim that. So there you go. Yes, you can, but they're okay too.
so for
Let me
other
say, I
questions,
was an English major. My English teacher would be appalled at some of the letters that I write and the partial sentences. And it's like the short paragraphs. I mean, but you've got to remember, this is not meant as like some great English prose. I was trying to, you want these letters to be written in a way that people can actually understand them and read them. So there you go. They're not meant to be a
thank you.
thesis.
Other questions that folks may have.
Did y'all come up with something? Is there something you can use from this? Is that thumbs up that you can? Great, great.
Thank you all for joining us today. And we give you thanks for entrusting us with this hour. And we give thanks to Cesie because I saw lots of hands going up. And hopefully it was more than just making a larger font when you send out your letters. But
That'll
if
help.
nothing else, yeah. But if nothing else, that's at least a start. So God's peace and blessings be with you. And we hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Thank you all.
Thanks so much.